Hello all and welcome to your favourite day of the week, Flat Earth Friday. Now, before we get started, I just want to give a big shout out to my first patron. You know who you are. Flat Earth Friday is an established feature now, and I'd love to bring in more. If you'd like to be part of an exclusive club where you get a hatful of rewards and in turn help the progress of the channel, then please do take a look at the Patreon page. I'll leave a link in the description. Okay, so I was going to do a video today on a response to my Antarctic circumnavigation video that I recorded a couple of weeks back. But the response in question was like listening to a wet blanket talk for 10 minutes, so I thought better of it. Instead, I thought we'd have a poke at something that came out of the recent UK Flat Earth conference. It was held at the end of April in a 3-star chained hotel conference room that holds about 80 people. Many experts came in and gave talks, but I have to say the consensus was less flat earth and more non-globe stuff. It should have been called the UK Earth is Not a Globe Conference. In fact, if you take a look at the organiser's website, fecore.org, you will actually fail to find the phrase flat earth anywhere at all on there. Almost as if they're ashamed to admit it in a professional capacity. A few of them even went on primetime mid-morning TV here in the UK. The hosts tried hard to stay serious, but they flirted with a mocking and belittling tone. It was splendid, and the appearance did more hurt to their cause than good. One of the experts from the conference was a man called Dave Marsh, and I stumbled across a link he shared on the fecore Facebook page. It was an article on a website called shortlist.com, and the article was entitled "An Exclusive Interview with the Flat Earther That Disproved Gravity." Yes. You heard that right. Now, first off, if he truly had disproved gravity, then he'd be more famous than Einstein overnight, and on every newspaper and TV show in the world, not squirreled away on some minor online publication. Secondly, he hasn't disproved gravity. So, let's take a look at this interview. Hi David, when did you first become a flat earther? I think it was around November 2015, and like a lot of people late at night, I'd just been researching, looking at different things mainly. I was looking at the moon landings. As I was looking deeper and deeper into the moon landings, I noticed a lot of recommended videos popping up related to flat Earth. I clicked on one. I think it was Eric Dubay's 200 proofs Earth is not a spinning ball. And after about the 9th proof, I was basically convinced, because the truth is undeniable. Really? It took 3 minutes of a crap video from a yoga instructor to convince you that the Earth is flat? The truth is indeed undeniable, but unfortunately what you've been watching and listening to is not the truth. If you'd already seen 200 proofs and been convinced by flat Earth theory, what inspired you to start doing your own research? I got the opportunity to go to Skegness, and I was looking across the beach and I could see the Norfolk coastline to the very tip. I asked a taxi driver about it and he told me the coastal town of Cromer was right on the tip at the very end. So I looked at how many miles it actually was from Skegness, and it was about 39 miles away. When I put it into the actual calculator, which calculates how much curvature there should be between Skegness and Cromer, it shouldn't have been visible at all, and yet it was clearly visible. When I refer to flat Earth, I'm not talking about a pizza floating in outer space. I'm referring to there being no measurable curvature over large bodies of water. So you're clearly admitting that you don't believe the Earth is actually flat. Besides, it's a massive leap of faith and ignorance to go from no measurable curvature over large bodies of water to the Earth is flat. Your point could mean that the Earth is a cube, or that it's a rhombic dodecahedron. Would it not be more scientific to find out why you're not detecting curvature over large bodies of water? For instance, there are parts of Cromer with high elevation. And how high up was the road you were viewing it from? Did you take any of that into account? What about the research you presented at the conference? What I did, I started measuring the speed of the moon by setting up a camera in my back garden, and I used a compass app. I found out when the moon was over the Tropic of Cancer, over the equator, and over the Tropic of Capricorn. And I recorded the moon on these nights, and I basically recorded the actual speed of the moon. I just want to step in at this point. I don't think he realises that whatever results he got here would have been erroneous unless you are directly below the path of the moon and are measuring it as it passes along the meridian. You are not going to get an accurate speed. If you look into Kepler's laws of planetary motion, the moon is supposed to travel around the Earth in an elliptical orbit. What should happen is it will spend the first half of its cycle speeding up towards perigee, the point of orbit closest to Earth, and the second half of its cycle slowing down towards apogee, the point furthest from Earth. I caught the moon speeding up as it was going to perigee and from perigee. It should have actually been speeding up one way and slowing down another. So hang on, the moon is speeding up as it reaches its closest point to Earth and then speeds up again afterwards. So from your observations, you're basically saying the moon continues to speed up in its orbit, never slowing. Is that really what happens, Dave? Because if it is, the moon would be travelling so fast by now, we wouldn't be able to see it. In fact, it probably wouldn't even be in our solar system anymore. Excuse my ignorance, but what does this have to do with gravity? When I recorded the moon, I recorded it over a year and I pumped all of the numbers into a graph, and the actual graph, it came out and it looked like a heartbeat. It looked like an ECG reading. Everything around you is electric. We have electrical storms. Everything to do with the sky is electric. If you compare gravity versus electromagnetism, gravity has never been able to be measured. All you've done is create a theory to support the globe model, whereas electromagnetism can actually be seen. I wouldn't say I've disproven gravity, but what I've proved is that electromagnetism is the only true force in nature. When you look into flat Earth, the majority of research leads to electromagnetism. So because the erroneous graph you've produced on the moon in orbit looks like an ECG reading, you are contributing its entire movement to electromagnetism. I did a 10k last week and the graph of my running pace looked like a piece of spaghetti. Does that mean my cells are made of bolognese sauce? Electromagnetism is a force, yes, one of the 4 fundamental forces of nature along with gravity. If Dave had any idea how this electromagnetic force acted and the nature of its range, relative strength and force carrying particles, he'd realise that everything he just said here made less sense than an ostrich fart. But what about when I drop stuff? The reason why objects fall is not because gravity is pulling it to the centre of mass. It's simply because the object is more dense than the air around it. If you get a helium balloon and let it go, what happens? It goes up. If this is simply the case, Mr. Marsh, why does the moon not fall to Earth? It's denser than air, is it not? So why doesn't everyone know this? Is someone hiding the truth? I think it's a control system, basically. The globe is a control system. What they do with the Big Bang, you see, when you believe that you come from the Big Bang and you come from nothing, what it does is it makes you, as a person, as a species, feel insignificant because you've come from nothing and you're a speck of sand in the vast universe. Well, we are. And I don't take any discomfort from that. He clearly does. And this is the problem for most flat earthers, particularly religious ones. They think they can't be that insignificant. They just can't. But they are. The universe doesn't care what happens to you. You've got places in the Arctic and Antarctica where you're not allowed to travel to. I know people say you can get expeditions, but you only go to 70 degrees probably. Take a few pictures with a couple of penguins and then off you go again. They never let you go to 90 degrees south or 90 degrees north because you're not allowed. So what about the people of Longyearbyen of Norway? who permanently live and work on the coordinates of the 78th degree north. Thousands of people have been to the South Pole, but let me guess, they're all lying and they're all in on it. Every single one of them. Right, but what would you say to people who are still sceptical? Do your own research and don't believe what you're told, because when you do start looking deep inside it, you see that we're being lied to. Doing your own research does not involve watching Flat Earth YouTube videos and conducting bad experiments. It means finding out about real physical sciences and applying it to nature in a way that actually works. All in all, I think this has been an eye-opener for Dave. Fingers crossed he comes back to the real scientific community with his ice wall between his legs. I won't hold my breath though. He is, after all, the man that destroyed Einstein, Newton and Kepler in a single swoop of flat earth arrogance. Well, that about wraps it up for me today. What a disastrous interview. 10 minutes and it's been completely unravelled. Thank you all very much for watching. And if you like what you've seen, then a like and subscribe would be thoroughly appreciated. Next week, we're going to take a look at one of the more sillier quotes that a flat earther can regurgitate. I trust my senses. I have been Simon Dan. Thank you to everyone for all of your comments, including you flatties, and I will see you soon.